episode of Beyond the Mirror Ball. I'm your host, Melina, and I run Mixing It Up with Melina over on Facebook and Instagram. This week, we're diving into season 11 of Dancing with the Stars, and this season was good. By all means, the contestants were really good, very entertaining, but I feel like this season was chaotic. There was a lot of contestants not happy with going home, shocking eliminations, people going home and then others staying. I want to say this was the first official season of viewers speaking up to the level that they were about like the vote counting being fraudulent. And we're gonna dive into specifically who and why, and this is the year of a lot of like allegations. There was a lot of contestant-wise, they were throwing allegations about each other out there, things like that. So before we get into that, let's get comfy and cozy. It's definitely warmed up here in Texas, which makes me so sad, but we're still gonna get in our comfy spot. We're gonna grab a blanket, drink of choice, water, wine, coffee, Diet Coke. And let's go. Let's do this, right? I think I grabbed the wrong straw for this cup, but we're gonna make it work. Cheers. Okay, so let's set the tone. It is fall 2010, prime nostalgia time. We have our same judges, Bruno, Carrie Ann, and Len. We also have the 200th episode in the midst of this season. So 2 guest judges come back. Was it 2? I think I wrote down 2. For sure, Kelly and Elio. We have Brooke back and Tom back for hosting. And this season we have 12 couples. So we went 2 seasons ago, we had 16. Chaos. Then last season we had 11. This season we're up to 12. And this season, there's no new pros entering the ballroom. At some point or another, these pros that we have for season 11 have been on the show one time or another. We don't have Edita for the first time since the show started. So she went 10 seasons strong. She was the only pro to do that, but she did take this season off. And so let's start with our couples and who they are. And then as always, I'll break them down a little bit. And then we're gonna dive into what some of these couples left more lasting impressions for this season for whatever reason. Okay, so first up we have David Hasselhoff. He needs no introduction. Partnered with Kim Johnson. Then we have Michael Bolton. Yes, the singer Michael Bolton. Up until I did this is my second year of doing this series with you guys, or running the Dancing with the Stars page. I totally forgot that Michael Bolton was on the show. And also, when this show was on, I remember being confused because at one point or another, like it was a big deal to get certain people on it. And I feel like Michael Bolton is a really legendary singer. But yeah, he was on there, partnered with Chelsie Hightower. We had comedian Margaret Cho, partnered with Louis Van Amstel. We had next up, we have The Situation from Jersey Shore. Yes, Jersey Shore entered the ballroom world, reality TV. We actually had a couple reality TV stars this season, but The Situation was partnered with Karina. We had Florence Henderson partnered with Corky. Florence is the famous mother of the Brady Bunch, an actress, but famously known for that role. And Corky is Mark Ballas' dad. He was on a season 7, and so he comes back for this season. Next up, we have Audrina Patridge, the reality star, TV star from The Hills, partnered with Tony. We had NBA legend Rick Fox, also an actor, but I think everyone knows him as the basketball guy, partnered with Cheryl. We have NFL legend Kurt Warner, partnered with Anna. We have Brandy, partnered with Max. Brandy is the famous singer. We had Bristol Palin partnered with Mark Ballas. Bristol Palin, at the time, just that should mean a lot. At the time, she was famously known for being Sarah Palin's daughter, who at the time, Sarah was gunning for President of the United States. And Bristol was, at the time, known famously as being her daughter's mom, but also a pregnant teen mom, or she was. She'd had the baby at that point. Next up, we have actor Kyle Massey, Disney star, partnered with Lacey. And then the winner of season 11 ended up being Jennifer Grey, aka Baby from Dirty Dancing, partnered with Derek. That's all of them. That was 12, but they're 12 big people and they each bring their different component to the show. So let's dive a little bit into some of these contestants. Okay, so first up was David Hasselhoff, first to go, which was really sad. I honestly thought his fan base was going to pull him through a little bit longer, but he wasn't the greatest dancer. I read mixed reports on people's experience with him on the show. Excuse me, diva-like behavior, but then also people loved him. So he said his experience on the show was great, and him and Kim had a really fun banter and got along really well, but unfortunately it was short-lived. Next up, we had Michael Bolton, which again, just touching on it, I was surprised at the time when he did it because of his like status level maybe, but then also I forgot about him being on there. So he was on there. One of the things about Michael during his time on the show was Bruno, of all judges, not typically known as being the mean one, was dubbed Michael's jive as being the worst jive he'd ever seen. And they ultimately went home that week. Michael then went on to tell the media that he wanted a public apology from Bruno. And I thought that was a bit much. Like, you're on a competition show where they're meant to judge you. And if you happened to have that, then so be it. But I think at the end of the day, like, you have to know that, like, it's a show. It's a show before it's anything else. And then it's the competition show. So they're going to say things. And, well, here's a clip of it. And you let me know in the comments, do you think it was as bad as Bruno said? Comedian Margaret Cho, partnered with Louis. Margaret has, and still is, always been politically outspoken in many ways. Her political affiliation, the LGBTQ community, and so when she did a dance on her season, there was one dance, oh my gosh, the Roomba? Oh, hang on, let me look it up real quick. I have my notes. Where are my notes? A samba, a rainbow-themed samba, which was a nod to her community. The panel of judges were left, in their words, confused, and the audience was split. And I'm just these are the notes I'm reading from the different stuff I go to. It was a very popular topic of discussion, but here, and then again, let me roll a clip for you guys and let me know, did you take anything from that dance? Did you find it? The judges, well, let me backtrack just a little bit. The judges were saying that they felt at the time that the dancers should not have a political nod in any one direction, that the dance took away from the dance, that this wasn't a dance, that it was more of a political performance versus a dance performance. And so for that, she was deducted points. because they felt, my taking from reading what I read on their quotes and stuff was that they felt that like she was just not taking it seriously and wanted to put this out there no matter what. Maybe not. I mean, some people, everyone goes on with different intentions for the show. I don't think that one way or another, they were still selected. So if this was something important to her, whether you agree with it or not, you know, the message, her intention was the message. Late Florence Henderson at the time was partnered with Corky. It is just a weird random fact, but the 2 times that Corky has been on the show, these 2 partners have both passed away. Cloris and then Florence. Am I rhyming? Did I just make that up? Oh my gosh, I'm blanking. Anyways, Florence was a hoot, as was his former partner. And Corky is great with creating the dances and making them form to the personalities of his partners, but they were both just very quirky, had a lot of fun. And it was neat to see America's Mom at some point or another be on the show. Next up, we had Audrina from the Hills on the show. And for her, she was one of the ones that I didn't think she would be all that good. And she ended up being really good, to the point where when she went home, it was, to me, a shocking elimination. I thought her and Tony were doing so good. And I really thought, especially 2010, like height of reality TV. Was the Hills still on at that point? If they were, I had checked out. But like, she still has a fan base. And we had Rick Fox partnered with Cheryl. I will say, in the past, I've talked about how like Cheryl, on her podcast that she hosted for a little bit, she has admitted that she hooked up with 3 of her former partners. And one of them we all know is Chad Ochocinco from last season. And the other 2 she's never talked about, and whoever they are have never talked on it either. And in the past, I've asked you guys, like, who do you think are the other 2 people that she hooked up with? And I will say, and I've never done it, I need to go back and see if Rick was married at the time, but many people think that her and Rick hooked up. I don't know that he's it. I feel pretty good about one of the 2, but the other person, I think that there's others that had more of a chance of that. But it's surprising how many people have thought in the past that Rick was who she hooked up with. But anywho, they got on. I don't, me personally, remember much about them this season. But yeah, he went pretty far. What are we at? What is that? He came in 6 that season, 6 out of 12. So they made it halfway through. Next up was Kurt Warner, the famous NFL quarterback, partnered with Anna. And I'm actually going to award Kurt the Andy Richter Award for this season. I just was so surprised. There was a calmness, demeanor. They kept making these really cute dances. Nothing was ever like jaw-dropping. I couldn't tell you a specific dance that they ever did. I just remember them 2 having a lot of fun. Him being better than I thought. Again, usually there's something in my brain. Like, I just don't know that athletes, it's not that they can't do it. I just get surprised that they do it as well as they do. But yeah, I would award Kurt with the Andy Richter Award. And okay, so I'm gonna blend the next 2. We had Brandy and Max, and then we had Bristol and Mark. Brandy was doing amazing. And Bristol was not doing amazing. Just, she wasn't bad, although many people will disagree with me on that. And I almost gave her the Andy Richter Award, but when I think of the Andy Richter Award, I think of like just I don't know, there's something that drew me to Kurt more than her. Bristol from the get-go, the second her name was announced as being a contestant, the rumors were swirling. There were many people who felt that somehow Sarah, her mom, who was going for the presidency, was somehow connected in getting her into this show so that she would have maybe extra pull and help with getting votes. That is a alleged rumor. Even Margaret Cho had said that Bristol only did it to help with her mom, which Margaret is on one side of the political views, and then Bristol and her mom are on opposites. So it was a little, oh, I have my makeup stuff on my hands. There was definitely a lot of jibber jabber thoughts and whatnot. That there were other allegations that there was no way that Bristol was as good as she was or had the fan base that she was and got to third place. She ultimately, so it was up against her and Brandy for going into the semifinals, and everyone thought, I mean, I don't truly believe anyone thought that Brandy was going to go home. Brandy had just got a perfect score, was, I mean, just amazing to watch. Her and Max had a very special partnership. Max was able to do a lot of beautiful choreography pieces with her. Mark did good with Bristol, but their dances were more like fun and quirky, and Brandy and Max had more of that like eloquent dance factor to them. So it came down to who was going to the semifinals, and Brandy went home, and it was an uproar, and that is when a lot of people felt that there was fraud in the voting system. Some voiced that they felt Sarah had access to businesses that could send in the votes, that these weren't actual viewers watching, but kind of, it reminded me like a lot like the Master P. People were thinking that Master P, he owned several like spam marketing businesses, and so he had all those numbers for that, and so they were calling to vote for him, allegedly. So a lot of people felt that Sarah was doing the same for her daughter. Now, Bristol goes on to be in the All-Star season along with Mark. So whether there was a real fan base there or not, or Dancing with the Stars thought there was, she did ultimately come back for the All-Star season. But for these two, it was very surprising. And again, Bristol was only really known at that time of being Sarah Palin's pregnant teenage daughter. And maybe I did read something that Bristol said where she wanted to start being someone else. She not someone else, but she didn't want to just be her mom's daughter. She didn't want to just be the teen mom. And so it was, I mean, a huge debacle. That'd be a good word. So then we have our top two. We had Kyle Massey from Disney, and other acting things. He also rapped a little bit and partnered with Lacey. Y'all know how I love Lacey. And I loved them together. I thought they were such a dynamic duo. Kyle also was up in the running for me for the Andy Richter Award, just because I really did not see him being as good of a dancer as he was. And he was fun, and he was putting in the work. He was determined to win. But he was also up against Jennifer Grey and Derek. And those two, week one, all the way to the finish line, were unstoppable. They were amazing. Derek ended up winning back-to-back years. And then Jennifer was in her 40s at the time, 50s. I should have looked up the age. But Patrick Swayze had just died earlier that year. And so through this season, I did read certain things where people were like, is it real, like through the season, like certain dance moves or certain songs would remind her of Patrick, and she would have, you know, tough moments, as anyone grieving would. But many, I read, I don't remember this at the time, but research shows that people were like, is this like legitimate, or is she just trying to crutch on that? Now, if you remember, Jennifer and Patrick actually could not stand each other on the set of Dirty Dancing, which is ironic because that's how good of actors they are. You would have swore they were in love. However, they did end up mending that and ended up being great friends. But yeah, they couldn't stand each other on the set of Dirty Dancing. And then her freestyle dance, I'll show a clip, was a oh my gosh, what is the song? It's from Dirty Dancing, and it was essentially a tribute to Patrick. And ultimately, she won. So yeah, she was a really great. She also had a ruptured disc in her back, and throughout the season, you could see where she needed to like take time and rest, but they didn't discover. Is that ironic? Now that I'm saying this out loud, they didn't discover the ruptured disc until finals week, and she wanted to push through and do it. So she did, and she won. So yeah, did they know? Did she know? And she was like, I'm just gonna push through. It's only so many weeks. And that wraps up season 11 of Dancing with the Stars Beyond the Mirror Ball. I told you it was a little chaotic, but it was good. Like, the contestants were really good. But I think the contestants' personal lives kind of overshadowed different parts of the season. So how would you word or phrase that? Anywho, I am about to wrap this up, and then I'm going to go film my first round prospects for my list of prospects for Dancing with the Stars season 35. I know so many of you have been patiently waiting for this. I hope I don't let you down, because so many of you have written me excited for this. So that will come out tomorrow. So I look forward to hearing what you guys think of my list for season 35. And then I'm excited for me to see who of those people I will stick with when I do round 2 in June. And then by that point, we should have at least 1 or 2 names confirmed and officialized for season 35. And then usually end of July, beginning of August is when we find out the official full list of Dancing with the Stars season 35, which is crazy to think. Next week is April, or I guess when you're watching this, tomorrow's April. So then we have April, May, June, July, 5 months. Crazy. All right, well, thanks for being here. If you can, please leave a comment, like this video, subscribe to my channel, and be sure to follow me over on Instagram and Facebook, Mixing It Up with Melina. Thanks for being here. See you next week, or see you tomorrow.